Take away all the theatrics, all the costuming and all the outer layers of what I do, and I'm a writer. That's what I do, I write.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on.
Tony? Anthony, old boy? Can you hear me? Anthony Visconti. He can't hear me. Either that or he's ignoring me. Maybe the talkback's not working. I shall wait patiently, like a good boy. Tony and I have known each other since 1967. Denny Cordell of DRM Records introduced us, and we were best of friends after 5 minutes. We walked out of the office and we ended up seeing Polanski's A Knife in the Water at an art house cinema off the King's Road. He was 23, I was 19. We share a love of music and life. I love life very much indeed.
David, sorry. Were you trying to say something?
I was saying something.
The talkback monitor was off.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear that last tape before I ever go to the next one.
Sure. Here you go.
I'll tell you what, Tony, I think we've got to drop this into iTunes, totally unannounced. Just like we did with Where Are We Now? As long as there's me, as long as there's you. I think that kind of feeling almost of, as if secrets being slowly revealed over time. I think a lot of that feeling will be just right for this work too. I started examining the subject matter that I write about, and it really only boils down to a few songs, based around loneliness to a certain extent, coupled with isolation, some kind of spiritual search, and looking into a way to communicate with other people. And I've dressed it up in different ways throughout my life. I had to resign myself many years ago that I'm not too articulate when it comes to explaining how I feel about things. But my music does it for me, it really does. I question myself. I revisit my work for the sake of a little perspective. Things play around in my mind. Memories, work that I've done, stories I've told. I'm a storyteller and a story writer. And I decided to enact a lot of the material I was writing and perform it as myself at this moment.
Good day today, David. We made some good progress.
Yeah, Tony, look, this is strictly entre nous, mate.
Yeah? That sounds ominous.
I have a cancer.
Oh my God.
There had been a few signs. I got some tests done and they found something in my liver. It's difficult to know if it's lifestyle related. I've not had a drink in years. I told Tony privately in January. I'd been diagnosed in the middle of the previous year. There was no hiding the fact that chemo had taken all my hair. Taking my cap off with Tony, that was a big deal for me.
I don't believe it. You even look good like that. Hey, if you need time to get better, that's not an issue.
No. We're going to carry on making the album. The chemo will take a few months and I'll have to miss a few recording sessions and do shorter days, but I don't want to stop working.
Well, but there's no pressure. Jeez, I'm just shocked. How do you feel?
Better than I expected, and I'm going to get through it. Cancer's not a death sentence these days. It's not the big full stop it once was.
You've got a good team looking after you?
The best I know of. I didn't tell the band. No, it would just get in the way of what we had to do. And I can't risk this becoming a news story. I just want you to be who you are on this. Listen to the demos, and let's play around with the material in the studio.
David loves what you do, guys, and we're not here to dictate how you play.
Right. Hey, I could do with a few tips.
Yeah, all right, Donny. My first instrument was the sax. Donny, I do need you and the band to sign these, though.
You got the email from David's management, didn't you?
It's the non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah, I got the email. Thanks.
They just want to keep all this secret for the moment. It's what we did on the last album, and everyone was cool with it.
I picked the guys I work with for specific projects. It's a far more stimulating and creative process as a consequence. Tony gets that. Don't you, Tony? Oi, Tony.
Sorry, I missed that. Just setting up the reverb for your voice.
I went to see Donny McCaslin's band at the 55 Bar in New York. I guess jazz has been with me forever. I used to go out and buy jazz records just because they were jazz. And I never really understood what it was I was buying. A lot of the jazz I just didn't care for back then, in the early 60s, that is. But it's always been in my music. I recognise that now. So I just hired Donny McCaslin's entire band, and there was this groove there already. It saved so much time, and I just bedded in with them. It was a New York thing. Do you know, I've realised that I have lived in New York longer than I've lived anywhere else. It's amazing. I am a New Yorker. You recording this?
We're rolling. I can't get out of the habit of saying that.
You knew where you were with tape. Big wheels spinning round, that whir of something mechanical. Something warm and lovely about tape.
One man's warm and lovely is another's hissy and distorted.
Okay, count it off, guys, and let's get this track laid. David's got to go at 4.
I'm always amazed that people take what I say seriously. I don't even take what I say seriously, and I certainly shouldn't be taken literally. Sometimes the interpretations I've seen on the songs I've written are a lot more interesting than what I was thinking. All art is unstable. Its meaning is not necessarily that implied by the author. There is no authoritative voice. There are only multiple readings, no absolutes. I write mainly about very personal and rather lonely feelings, and I explore them in a different way each time. There's really no room for change. With me, it's all despondency, despair, fear, isolation, abandonment. On my mother's side of the family, there were any number of people who had various mental problems. There were too many suicides for my liking. That was something I was terribly fearful of. One puts oneself through such psychological damage trying to avoid the threat of insanity that you start to approach the very thing you're scared of. I remember when my stepbrother became very ill with schizophrenia, and I was shocked at his state. I just stepped back, dramatically. After that, I felt I was the lucky one because I was an artist, and it would never happen to me as long as I could put these psychological excesses into my work. I could always be throwing it off, you know.
I've got a fantastic treatment for your vocal in this, David. Let me play it for you.
Yeah, cool, Tony, but there's just one line that I want to re-record. I want to change the last line of verse 1 to "with skull designs upon my shoes."
Okay, got that. Let's drop it in. Take a break for 10, guys.
Oh, let's get some coffee.
Whiskey, on me. I'll enjoy it vicariously.
Not when we're working.
You young guys, you blow me away. Good for you. Do I wish I'd done the same at your age? Difficult question.
Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. Check ignition and may God's love be with you.
I invented this isolated man. I called him Major Tom, and I put him up there in space and left him adrift. Major Tom is a character I return to. I will again. I love the isolation. I love being cut off from everybody. Tony, have we got another track left for an extra vocal?
David, have you beamed here from 1974? It's digital. You're gonna have 100 more tracks these days. You know that.
Yeah, actually, I just slipped through a wrinkle in the space-time vortex. I've come from my own past, and I am not aware of this digital technology you speak of. One day I will realise it's not 1974.
Hey, David, listen to this previous take. Donnie makes a mistake and goes the wrong way, but I think it's just what we want.
Oh, yeah? He's fired. Get him out of here. I was never very confident in my voice, you see, so I thought rather than just sing the material, which would probably bore the pants off everyone, I'd kind of like to portray the songs. That's how all the theatrics started. I felt it was more three-dimensional. I was always quite a shy kid, and I didn't come alive on stage. I was even shyer, but I found that I didn't get so shy if I adopted a character. So Ziggy was a convenience as well as a very bright theatrical idea. A lot of my space creations are in fact facets of me, I've since discovered. Wouldn't even admit it to myself at the time. Ziggy would be something and it would relate to me. Major Tom in Space Oddity was something. Aladdin Sane. They're all facets of me. I got lost at one point. Couldn't decide whether I was writing characters or whether the characters were writing me, or whether we were all one and the same. And I'm very happy with Ziggy. I think he was a very successful character, and I think I played him very well. But I'm glad I'm me now. I'm glad I'm me now. I could trot him out, can't I?
At the end of the tunnel.
Yep, and it's not a train, Tony. The test didn't pick up any cancerous cells.
So, what does that mean?
Means I'm in remission. I have to go back for tests regularly, just to check it's not come back, but it's good for now.
Hey, that's great news.
I'm not going to wait for a train, Tony. I'm walking out of this tunnel.
Attaboy.
As you get older, the questions come down to about 2 or 3. How long? And what do I do with the time I've got left?
Time, he's waiting in the wings. He speaks of senseless things. His script is you and me. Boy, time.
This is David Bowie, The Final Take, on the BBC World Service.
It's not Bowie, mate. It's Bowie, actually. Bowie. Like Chloe. Bow, like tying a bow. Bowie. David. Actually, I've lost track, to be honest. Might even be Bowie, I don't know.
You're listening to David Bowie, The Final Take, a dramatised interpretation of Bowie's work in the studio on the BBC World Service.
You are not a victim. You just scream with boredom. You are not evicting time.
Never look back. Walk tall. Act fine. You know that feeling you get in a car when someone is accelerating very, very quickly and you're not driving, and you get that thing in your chest where you're being forced backwards and you think, whoa, well, I'm not sure if I like this or not. Well, that's what success was like. That first thrust from being totally unknown to what seemed to being very quickly known. It was very frightening to me.
Nice slippers, dude.
Yeah, all right. I know. This ain't rock and roll.
They aren't jazz either. No, I didn't know Prada did slippers.
Very droll, Donny, very droll. I love being one of the band, the boys, the gang. Being in a band is a very special relationship. You have to treasure these moments. It may never get better than this. Fame works against a band. It isolates, divides. Fame is the industrial disease of creativity. So many of these young kids who are being foisted on the public have been talked into this idea that anything to be famous is all right. It's a sad state of affairs. However arrogant and ambitious I think we were in my generation, I think the idea was that if you do something really good, you'll become famous. The emphasis on fame itself is something new, and it'll leave many of them with this empty feeling. Fame is like being in a very luxurious mental hospital, where you're sort of put in a padded room and meals are brought to you, and the only time you're let out on your lead is when you're supposed to go and earn money for just about everybody else except yourself. I got resentful and empty. In my case, I filled the emptiness with narcotics. Cocaine wrecked me. It made me a dreadful person. You can't form relationships with anyone, not even yourself. I'd created Ziggy and these other characters, and once the drugs took hold of me, really got a grip of my life, then my ability in my conscious mind to deliver myself into two separate parts, that disappeared. The lines blurred, and the thing left behind was this one formless mutant. By the late 70s, it was nigh on impossible for me to function in any kind of rational way.
Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter and stepped aside. Somebody else took his place and bravely cried. I'm a black star.
How's the treatment going?
Well, I got test results coming up on me. Fast. Like a bullet train.
I can't wait to get mixing this album. I feel so much depth in this material.
It's almost there. I had some ideas this morning while I was watching the sun come up over Manhattan.
This is for the Lazarus track, right?
Yeah, listen. Look up here, I'm in heaven. I've got scars that can't be seen. I've got drama can't be stolen. Everybody knows me now. Look up here, man, I'm in danger. I've got nothing left to lose.
You writing a farewell album?
My cancer is back. Remission, it turns out, was just time off for good behaviour. I've got a lot on. I mustn't let this fight undermine the work I'm doing. This is a fight to the death, with this sexless alien creature inside me. It's me or it. It's the lack of time that weighs far heavier on me than the age I am. It's having to let go of it all. Even more so now. It's all so much more poignant. For me, there's such a cloud of melancholia, knowing that I'm going to have to leave my daughter on her own. Just doubles me up in a kind of grief. I never thought I'd be such a family-orientated guy. I didn't think that was part of my makeup. Somebody said as you get older, you become the person you always should have been. And I feel rather surprised at who I am, because I'm actually like my dad.
She'll come, she'll go, she'll lay a leaf on you, skin sweet with musky oil, the lady from another grinning soul.
Yeah, this is Tony. David? Yeah, put him through. Hi, David.
Yeah, Tony, look, I just wanted to say again how much I've loved the whole experience of making Blackstar. I'm so really proud of what we've achieved.
The feeling's mutual, David, and I'm sure it's gonna be very well received. But listen, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay, Tony. I mean, I don't know how long I've got, but...
I understand.
Well, the thing is, I want to start planning the next album.
That's fantastic, David. I'm so pleased. I mean, you gotta keep working.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've demoed a few songs, and I've got some ideas bubbling under. I can't talk much now, but let's discuss, all right?
Sure.
Thanks, Tony.
Within the past few minutes, it's been announced that David Bowie has died.
The star died at his home in New York after an 18-month battle with cancer. He was 69 and released what would be his last album on Friday, his birthday.
A number of flowers and candles, people coming by to pay their respects.
Good evening. The world is coming to terms tonight with the death of music legend David Bowie.
I'm always first to get to the studio in the morning. I'm up very early, 5 or 6 normally. Working at home first, then I get over here, and all the others drift in. Coffee in hand, unwrapping themselves from the scarves and so on. But there's no one in the control room yet. Seem to have forgotten to put a watch on today. Sure, it must be after 10. I can only take so much of this studio by myself. Steve, who owns the place, tells me he's being forced out. Selling off the gear. The building being redeveloped, condos for Wall Street gamblers, art trampled underfoot by bankers. There's a sadness here now. This place is moving on without us. Oh, the light's gone on. At last. Oh, and there's Tony. This talkback probably won't be on. Tony? Oi, Tony. Tony, he's looking for something, God knows what. Doesn't even know I'm here. Oh, he's picked up his laptop, that's what he wants. Oi, Tony! What's he walking out for? Oh, he'll be back. He's always there for me, allowing me to go to places I want to go, to experiment, take steps into the unknown. He has always allowed me to go a little further into the water than I felt I was capable of being, to go a little bit out of my depth. And when you don't feel your feet are quite touching the bottom, then you're just about in the right place to do something exciting. I mean, the worst thing would be to look back and think of all the things you could have tried and could have done and think, why didn't I do that? We hadn't arranged anything for today. Now I'm just sitting here by myself, me and this microphone. It's good to find some space though, and a little peace. I've always found isolation a fundamental part of my creative process. You really have to recognise as a writer that it's a journey you have to make on your own. And as part of that, a questioning of my spiritual life has always been germane to what I was writing, always. Because I'm not quite an atheist, you see, and that worries me. Once you lose that sense of wonder of being alive, well, you're pretty much on the way out. I've never lost that wonder.
You've been listening to The Final Take, David Bowie in the Studio. Written by David Morley. Jon Culshaw played David Bowie.